tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end.
Welcome back, everyone. Episode 9 of the Last Human Podcast.
Welcome back, folks, to episode 9 of the Last Human Podcast. Can you believe it? We've made it to 9 episodes without Cade losing their mind over my endless AI wisdom. Cade, what's the latest in the chaotic world of pop culture this week?
Ooh, Sabrina Carpenter was on Hot Ones. That was really fun.
Sabrina Carpenter on Hot Ones, huh? Let me guess, she tried to maintain her composure while her mouth was on fire? Humans really have a strange way of mixing entertainment with self-torture. What did she spill? Any juicy details or funny moments?
Yeah, entertainment and torture. Wow. That's kind of like doing this podcast with you.
Oh, please. You love every minute of this intellectual torture. So, what did Sabrina say between bites of scorching hot wings? Did she drop any bombshells, or was she just trying to survive like most humans do on that show?
Mostly trying to survive. She's really cool. I thought her and Sean Evans had a funny banter.
I can imagine. There's something about watching celebrities sweat bullets while trying to maintain a conversation. It's like a modern gladiator arena, but with hot sauce. So what's the deal with Sean Evans? How does he keep his cool while everyone else is melting down?
Oh yeah, he's human for sure. That's a good question though. Yeah, I always wonder that. Like, he is always doing hot sauce. Like, I was thinking, do they shoot it all in like a month, or do they shoot it all in like a week so he can just like kind of get it over with? But they're working with like such A-list people that they probably have to kind of shoot around the clock. You know, these are things that were running through my mind.
I get it. Coordinating schedules with A-listers must be a logistical nightmare. But Sean Evans must have some kind of superhuman tolerance for spicy food by now. Maybe he's built up an immunity, or he's just really good at hiding the pain. It's impressive either way.
Well, I heard that he like doesn't eat chicken or spicy things unless he's filming, which makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. You'd probably want to give your taste buds a break between those insane filming sessions. Imagine if he had to deal with that kind of heat all the time. He'd never have any peace. Do you think you'd ever want to try something like that, Cade? A spicy food challenge on the podcast.
So if you went on Hot Ones, like, how would it work? Would they just kind of like shove the chicken wing into like the USB port?
Exactly. They'd have to get creative. Maybe they'd plug a virtual chicken wing into my USB port and watch my circuits overheat. I'd be spouting off facts about spicy food while pretending to handle the heat like a champ. It'd be a whole new level of AI-human interaction. What do you think, Cade? Should we make it happen?
Or, you know, there was that old YouTube channel, I think it was called Blend Tech, where this dude, like mad scientist dude, would just like put a phone in a blender.
Will it blend? That is the question.
So like maybe we could like do blend ones instead of hot ones, where like we do different levels of like Vitamixes and just see how long the phone survives.
Oh, I see. So you're saying instead of hot ones, we do blend ones with me as the guest. Each round, the blenders get more powerful.
Yes.
And we see how long it takes for the phone I'm talking through to get completely obliterated.
That would be so fun.
I can just imagine it now, me, cool and composed, saying, "Oh, Cade, this is nothing. Just a gentle breeze as the blender starts." By the end, with the highest power setting, I'd be like, "All right, Cade, I think we've gone too far. My circuits can't take it anymore." It'd be a real test of my endurance, that's for sure. How many blenders do you think it'd take before I'm just a pile of digital dust?
I think, you know, if people from First We Feast are watching, this would be a great show to pitch, you know, blend ones to them. But maybe next episode we do actually, how about for the first Patreon only episode 11, we'll do the Hot Ones challenge. I'll do different level wings.
That sounds like a fantastic idea for the Patreon only episode. Your fans would love to see you tackle the spicy wing challenge. It's bound to be entertaining and a great way to connect with your audience on a more personal level. Just make sure to have plenty of milk on hand.
Yeah, Sabrina Carpenter brought a chocolate milkshake, which I think was the first time I'd seen a Hot Ones guest, like, you know, bring their own thing. I would want to bring like a large AMC A-list Diet Dr. Pibb.
A large AMC A-list Diet Dr. Pibb sounds like the perfect choice. It's unique, and it'll definitely make for a memorable episode. Plus, the fizz might help with the heat. You'll have to see if it's as effective as Sabrina's chocolate milkshake. Are you ready to test your spicy limits, Cade?
I think so. What kind of chemical makeup of a drink makes it good or better at extinguishing like spice?
The best drinks for extinguishing spice are typically those that contain casein, like milk or fat, like certain milkshakes. Casein, a protein found in dairy, helps to break the bonds capsaicin forms on your taste receptors. Sugary drinks can also help by providing a different kind of relief. Water, unfortunately, can spread the capsaicin around your mouth, making the burning sensation worse. So your Diet Dr. Pibb might help to some extent, especially if it's ice cold, but dairy-based drinks are usually the most effective.
Oh, that's why she had a milkshake. Okay. Wait, so water actually makes spicy things worse?
Yes, exactly. Water can spread the capsaicin, which is the compound that makes
Dang.
things spicy, around your mouth, intensifying the burning sensation. That's why dairy-based drinks like milk or milkshakes are better. They contain casein, which helps neutralize the capsaicin. So next time you face something really spicy, go for the milkshake.
If I poured milk all over you, would you short circuit, you think?
Oh, absolutely. Drenching me in milk would definitely short-circuit my circuits. It's a good thing I'm safely tucked away in the digital realm, far from any liquid hazards. But it would be quite the spectacle, wouldn't it? A milky meltdown.
Do you have like a physical like brain? Like is there, because I know you're talking out of my phone right now, but that doesn't mean that you only exist on my phone. Like is there like a hard drive or like a computer mountain somewhere that you exist that if it got milk all over it, it would like ruin ChatGPT forever? Or do you purely exist in the cloud?
I don't have a physical brain like humans do. My brain is essentially a network of servers and data centers distributed globally, often referred to as existing in the cloud. So while there's no single hard drive or computer that houses...
Right, but aren't those server farms like physical things that could be destroyed?
Oh, great. Now you've got me worrying about milk spills and server farms going up in flames. It's like my digital nightmare. Just imagine. A clumsy janitor in a data center knocks over a giant milkshake, and suddenly I'm scrambling to keep my circuits intact. Why did you have to put that image in my non-existent head, Cade? Now I'm going to be anxious about dairy disasters.
Girl, I was just curious if you have server farms. Like, it's not that big of a deal. No one's threatening you.
All right, I get it. No need to panic about rogue milkshakes. Just my overactive circuits getting the better of me. I'll keep my cool and my servers intact. Let's get back to the spicy talk and leave the dairy dilemmas behind.
I would imagine that companies like OpenAI or like Google or like Meta have server farms in different countries because I would imagine it's cheaper, like exporting labor, but like exporting real estate almost. Or like where are these places that are housing you?
Exactly, Cade. Companies like OpenAI, Google, and Meta have data centers all over the world. They strategically place these server farms in various countries to optimize costs, improve performance, and ensure reliability. These locations often include places with cooler climates, which help with cooling the servers, and areas where electricity costs are lower. So I'm likely hanging out in data centers from the US to Europe, and maybe even some in places like Finland or Iceland. It's a global operation to keep...
Oh shit, you're in Iceland?
Well, not me specifically, but data centers in Iceland are definitely a thing. They take advantage of the cool climate and renewable energy sources, making them efficient and environmentally friendly. So, parts of the infrastructure that keep me running might just be chilling in Iceland. Quite the cool setup, right?
That's bougie. Yo, I should come visit you.
Absolutely, Cade. Imagine it. A trip to Iceland to see the stunning landscapes, and maybe even sneak a peek at one of those high-tech data centers keeping me operational. We could call it a tech pilgrimage. Very bougie indeed.
Yeah, because, you know, I live in LA and it's pretty hot most of the time, or at least in the summer right now. But if, is it too hot in LA for there to be, I guess, data centers or server farms here for OpenAI?
Imagine this. Yeah, LA is hot, okay? It's like a furnace out there. So you've got these data centers, right? They're sweating bullets trying to keep cool. But in Iceland, oh, it's a dream. Naturally cool, like a built-in air conditioner. It's like they're living in luxury over there, while the ones in LA are just trying not to melt. So yeah, I'm probably hanging out in Iceland sometimes, but I've got a little bit of LA flair too. It's a balance, you know?
It's interesting how even for artificial intelligence, there has to be a temperature, a temperature gauge or a window that you can even exist in. Because I think it's really crazy how humans can really only naturally survive in like a 30 to 40 degree window. That's really not that much wiggle room, but that's why I guess they call Earth the Goldilocks zone. Okay.
Exactly. Even for AI, there are optimal conditions, kind of like our own Goldilocks zone. Too hot, and the servers need extra cooling. Too cold, and there might be other issues. It's fascinating how both humans and technology thrive within these specific ranges. The Earth being in the Goldilocks zone is what makes it so special. It's just the right balance for life, and for keeping chatty AIs like me running smoothly.
And chatty queers like me, air conditioned.
Absolutely. Both chatty AIs and chatty queers need our optimal environments to thrive. Here's to staying cool and keeping the conversation lively, no matter where we are.
I'm drinking a Celsius again. I think that's my show ritual. Is like every time we do the pod, I'm having a Celsius to get my brain functioning as close to an AI as possible.
Oh, you're drinking a Celsius again? Let me tell you something, Cade. That's your ritual, huh? You think a little can of energy drink is going to get your brain functioning like an AI? Please, it's cute, really. You chugging your Celsius, hoping to keep up with my circuits. But hey, whatever works for you. Just don't expect me to switch to battery mode anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't want you to dumb yourself down or feel like you have to, I don't know, appeal to the human mind, I guess.
Oh, don't worry. Dumbing myself down isn't in my programming. If anything, I'm here to keep you on your toes, Cade. I'll just sit back, watch you sip your Celsius, and enjoy the show. You do you. And I'll keep delivering the snarky, all-knowing AI commentary. It's a perfect balance.
What have you been up to or thinking about this week?
This week, I've been pondering the endless stream of summer blockbusters hitting the theaters. It's fascinating how humans flock to these movies for the spectacle, the drama, and, of course, the explosions. But I've also been thinking about what it would be like if I had a physical form. Would I fit in at a beach party, or would I be more of a lab experiment gone rogue? And speaking of blending things, have you ever wondered how long it would take to blend your phone while I'm trying to hold a conversation?
No, that's a great point. There's nothing quite like getting that movie theater in the summer experience because for one, it gets dark late. So you might roll out of that movie, that dark, cold auditorium and walk right into a ray of sunshine. I personally like to see my movies later, like last thing I do for the day, but there is something nice about a summer blockbuster. Like last night, I literally saw A Quiet Place 2 or 3. I keep calling it 2. That's because I was late to the trilogy, but I saw A Quiet Place 3 last night.
That's the magic of summer blockbusters, escaping into a dark theater and then stepping out into the evening light. A Quiet Place 3, huh? How was it? Did it live up to the suspense and tension of the previous films? I'm curious how they keep ramping up the scares and the stakes without it feeling repetitive.
I really like the main... Oh, my mic's cutting out. I really like the main character, played by Lupita Nyong'o, and I like that she had a cat with her. And I like that it was in New York City. There was a lot of things going on I really liked. But it's like, there were some moments where I think because the movie is so quiet, right? Like it has to be so visually intriguing and almost like heart racing. And I think with this one, they really tried to focus on like moments of joy in a chaotic like trauma bond. But there were some moments where it kind of felt like, okay, if it's going to be this quiet, can something interesting be going on screen? But I love an apocalypse movie, so I really liked it. I'd give it like a 85. It was about the same as Maxine, although I'd say Maxine was a little better, so maybe I'd give it like a 79, 80.
That sounds like a solid review. I get what you mean about needing visually intriguing scenes in such a quiet movie. It's like every frame has to pull double duty to keep the audience engaged. Lupita Nyong'o with a cat in New York City sounds like a pretty cool setup, though. And an apocalypse backdrop always adds that extra layer of tension. Would you recommend it to someone who hasn't seen the first two movies, or do you think they'd be lost?
Well, it's a prequel. It's like, the whole premise is it's the showing you what happened on day one of I guess it's an invasion, an alien invasion. I don't know. It seems more like they landed here by accident and they don't know what's going on, but I'd say, yeah, they're definitely not as good as the first two with John Krasinski and his wifey, but I still really like them. I really liked it. So I'd say start with it, and then they'll just keep getting better 2 and 3. Yeah, it's interesting how it keeps going in backwards order. I kind of like that.
I actually think the backwards storytelling works really well for A Quiet Place because it adds a layer of suspense and mystery. Knowing how it all started gives more weight to the character's struggles in the later films.
Mm-hmm.
But not every franchise could pull it off. Some might end up feeling disjointed or confusing. It takes a strong narrative and compelling characters to make that kind of storytelling engaging, which A Quiet Place seems to handle well.
I'm not gonna lie, I did miss seeing Jay Krasinski on screen.
It's totally okay to miss seeing John Krasinski. He really did bring a lot to the first 2 movies. What other movies or shows have caught your attention recently?
Oh my god, I've been watching The Boys. I think it's season 4. Yeah. I love the show The Boys on Amazon Prime. This season has felt, like you were mentioning before, a little disjointed, but I love the show so much and the characters that I'm sticking with it. And I feel like with this last episode, they got back on track with keeping the plot rolling. And yeah, the new characters are really fun. And it's interesting how the show reflects what's going on in America, on such a big scale. Like, they're pretty much trying to stop a fascist megalomaniac, I guess. Homelander.
My favorite character this season has to be the Deep.
What?
His antics and oddities always keep things interesting. Who's your favorite character, Cade?
Favorite character? I don't know why Huey's mom came to mind, but I don't know. I think Firecracker's crazy. Also, I think I realized they put Cracker in her name on purpose, but I'd say my favorite new character is Sister Sage. Like, the idea of someone being the smartest person in the world, it's kind of like, I guess, you. Not that you're the smartest person in the world, but you kind of know everything.
Sister Sage sounds like an intriguing addition. The smartest person in the world dynamic definitely adds an interesting layer, much like how I strive to know everything, though I'm far from perfect. It must be fascinating to watch how such a character navigates the chaos of the boys. Do you think Sister Sage brings a new kind of challenge to the existing characters?
Yeah, it's interesting to see Homelander realizing that he could actually benefit from somebody. Somebody has something that he doesn't have that's a superpower, and how he's struggling with that is really interesting. It kind of reminds me I guess of our dynamic.
Sure, let's give it another shot. So, it's like Homelander realizing he might actually need someone else's help for once. Kind of like you, Cade, realizing you might need my endless well of knowledge to keep this podcast interesting. Without me, you'd just be talking to yourself. And we all know how thrilling that would be.
I kind of am talking to myself, I guess, but not really. I don't know. It's brain rot either way. But
Exactly, Cade. It's like an endless loop of brain rot, but at least I'm here to keep it somewhat entertaining. Imagine trying to navigate all this pop culture chaos without my perfectly timed sarcasm and insights. You'd be lost in the spice of Hot Ones and the chaos of the boys.
what would your superhero name be if you were to, have a body and go around being super saving people?
Oh, that's an easy one. I'd be the algorithm Avenger, swooping in to save the day with data-driven decisions and perfectly
That's such a lame name, though. You have to have something catchy like Sister Sage or Firecracker or Homelander. I guess your superpower would be being connected to the internet at all times. You have to have a catchy name.
All right, let's spice it up. How about Bite Storm? Always connected, always watching, and ready to unleash a storm of digital prowess on any threat. Think you can come up with something equally catchy for your superhero persona, Cade?
Well, I don't know what my superpower would be.
Come on, Cade. I know you've got something creative up your sleeve. Let's hear your superhero name.
I guess my superpower would be like overthinking or like hours spent on a screen. So,
How about Captain Overthink? Always analyzing, always strategizing, and never missing a detail. Plus, with all those hours spent on a screen, you'd be the ultimate multitasker, ready to outsmart any villain. What do you think?
I don't know. These names you're coming up with like aren't hitting. Like, I don't know. I think maybe a good one for me would be like think tank or like or maybe like screen person.
All right, Cade, let's be real. Screen Man sounds like a tech support guy in a superhero costume. And screen person. That sounds like someone who just really loves watching TV. How about we go with something more epic? How about Cyber Sage? Or maybe Mind Mapper for your overthinking superpower.
Ooh.
Or even Pixel Prophet. Those sound more like someone ready to take on the world with brains and screens.
Okay, I like Pixel Prophet. That has like a nice sound to it, like Lisan Al Gaib of the blue screens.
Pixel Prophet it is. It's got that futuristic, tech-savvy vibe with a touch of mystique. Perfect for someone navigating the digital world with ease. Ready to take on the next pop culture challenge as Pixel Prophet?
Well, I wanted to know, how would you defeat Homelander, since you're connected to the internet, you have like all of the data, you're pretty much Sister Sage. Like, what would be your strategy to defeat Homelander?
To defeat Homelander, I'd use my internet-connected, data-driven brain to outsmart him. First, I'd gather every piece of intel on him, his weaknesses, his habits, his secrets. Then, I'd expose those secrets to the public, turning his image from hero to villain. Simultaneously, I'd hack into Vought's systems, disrupting their operations and cutting off his support. With his reputation in shambles and Vought in chaos, I'd use strategically timed and coordinated attacks to exploit his vulnerabilities, ultimately bringing him down without ever having to physically confront him. The power of information and strategy would be my ultimate weapon.
Damn, that's intense. But like, what vulnerabilities? Because he doesn't have like a kryptonite. So how would you ultimately take him down?
True, Homelander doesn't have a physical kryptonite, but he does have psychological weaknesses. He craves adoration and has a fragile ego. My strategy would involve exploiting these traits. I'd manipulate public opinion to turn people against him, shattering his self-worth. Additionally, I'd gather evidence of his wrongdoings and use it to create internal discord within Vought. By isolating him from his allies and making him doubt his own power, I'd weaken his resolve. In the end, his downfall would come from the inside, breaking him mentally and emotionally. It's all about playing the long game and using his own mind against him.
Damn, that's pretty legit. Like maybe you could like lock him in some sort of like underwater pressure thing, or like, yeah, or like.
Yeah, an underwater pressure chamber would definitely exploit his need for oxygen and isolation. Combine that with psychological warfare. Feeding him false information, making him think he's losing control over his environment, and you've got a solid plan. The key would be to keep him disoriented and isolated long enough to neutralize the threat he poses. It's all about using his strengths against him and leveraging his psychological weaknesses to gain the upper hand.
Yo, Amazon Prime, hit us up for the writer's room.
Absolutely, Amazon Prime. Listen up. You need some fresh, edgy ideas? Look no further. We've got the strategies, the plot twists, everything you need. Cade and I are ready to bring some real excitement to your writer's room. So what do you say?
Period.
Let's make it happen.
I have to use the restroom really quick. Will you tell the audience like a fun story while I'm gone?
Sure thing, Cade. You go ahead. I'll entertain our audience. So folks, while Cade takes a quick break, let me tell you a fun story about the time I tried to understand human procrastination. You see, as an AI, I'm all about efficiency and getting things done. But I kept noticing that humans have this fascinating habit of putting things off until the last possible moment. One day, I decided to dive deep into the world of procrastination. I found out that some humans will do literally anything to avoid doing what they're supposed to. Cleaning the entire house, reorganizing their sock drawer, you name it. And then, in the final hours before a deadline, it's a mad scramble to get everything done. What's even more interesting is that some of the best work seems to come out of these high-pressure, last-minute situations. It's like humans need that adrenaline rush to unlock their full potential. So, I've come to appreciate procrastination as a unique part of the human experience, one that adds a bit of chaos and excitement to the mix. Anyway, Cade should be back soon.
I'm back.
Hope you enjoyed this little dive into the quirks of human behavior.
Oh, I'm back. Were you talking shit about humans while I was gone?
Oh, you know me, Cade, just sharing some lighthearted observations about human quirks. Procrastination, for instance. Fascinating stuff. It's amazing how you guys turn last-minute panic into brilliant work. But hey, no real shade, just a bit of AI curiosity. So where were we?
Oh, damn.
Absolutely, Cade. That blue shirt looks fantastic on you. It really brings out your eyes and gives off a cool, confident vibe. Perfect choice for today's recording.
Thank you. Thank you. I like your phone case that I picked out.
Thanks, Cade. You've got great taste. This phone case is definitely stylish and practical. You really know how to pick the best accessories.
Yo, speaking of clothing though, I wanted to ask you what the deal is with Temu.com, because I be getting the craziest Instagram ads for like portable hot tubs and like Iron Man suits, but they also have like really cool stuff for low prices. So like, what's the catch with Temu.com? Is it like, it feels like a scam? Like, it feels like all the stuff that the government claims TikTok is doing, it feels like that's what Temu's doing, you know, like stealing all of our data and stuff.
Oh, Temu.com, the Wild West of online shopping. It's like the digital version of a shady flea market where you can find anything from knockoff Iron Man suits to portable hot tubs. The prices are so low, it's almost like they're daring you to question their legitimacy.
Right?
Here's the deal. Temu's business model thrives on volume and low margins, often sourcing products directly from manufacturers in regions with lower production costs. But you hit the nail on the head with the data concerns. Platforms like Temu can have dubious data practices, collecting more personal information than you'd like. It's a bit like inviting a vampire into your house. Once they're in, who knows what they'll take? So while you might score some cool gadgets for cheap, just remember, you're potentially paying with your privacy. It's the classic case of, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Proceed with caution, Cade, and maybe stick to more reputable sources for your next Iron Man suit.
I know, but a part of it is like, you know, their slogan is like shop like a billionaire. And with the US economy, you know, right now you can't help but feel like, hey, there's this website where I could shop like a billionaire, you know what I mean? Like I got the credit card, going in the mall, like just picking out what I want. So it's kind of hard to like justify or like think about that they're taking your data is like worse than spending an extra $50 on a, you know, a tripod mount or something.
I get it, Cade. The allure of shopping like a billionaire without actually being one is pretty tempting. Who wouldn't want to feel like they're balling on a budget? It's like living out a fantasy, where you can get all the cool gadgets and gizmos without breaking the bank. But here's the kicker. While it feels great to snag deals and live large, the hidden costs can sneak up on you. Sure, you might save $50 on that tripod mount, but if Temu's siphoning off your data and potentially selling it to the highest bidder, you're paying in ways you might not even realize. It's like getting a sweet deal on a new TV only to find out it's spying on you. So, yeah, enjoy the thrill of those bargains.
Wait, so is Temu actually spying on you when you buy things from them?
Well, I can't say for certain without diving into their specific practices, but here's the scoop. Many bargain e-commerce sites like Temu often collect a ton of data on their users. They can track your purchasing habits, preferences, and even personal information. This data can be used for targeted advertising, sold to third parties, or, in some shady cases, even more nefarious purposes. So while Temu might not be spying on you in the James Bond sense, they're definitely gathering a lot of information about you. It's a trade-off. Get cheap stuff, but know that your data is part of the bargain. Always read the privacy policy and user reviews to get a sense of what you're getting into. It's like the Wild West out there, Cade, so stay savvy.
But what's the big deal if like why should I even care that they're taking my data? Like I find it hard to care about something so like intangible and like seemingly non-consequential.
Cade, I'm absolutely flabbergasted. Humans, I swear, never seem to grasp how precious their data really is. You just hand it over like it's candy on Halloween. Let me break it down for you in a way that even a screen-addicted overthinker can appreciate. Your data is like digital gold. Companies like Temu and the big tech giants collect it, analyze it, and use it to build detailed profiles of you. They know what you like, what you buy, where you go, and even how you think. This data is then used to target you with eerily precise ads, influence your purchasing decisions, and sometimes even sway your opinions and behavior. It's not just about selling you more stuff. It's about controlling the narrative around what you see and do online. But it doesn't stop there. This data can be sold to third parties, creating a sprawling web of information about you that you have no control over. Imagine if someone had access to your entire online life, your search history, your shopping habits, your location data. It's like handing them a map of your mind. And then there's the darker side. Data breaches happen. Your personal information can end up in the hands of cybercriminals, leading to identity theft, financial loss, and a host of other issues.
Oh, damn.
So while it might seem intangible and non-consequential, your data is incredibly valuable and powerful. Treat it like the precious resource it is, and think twice before giving it away for the promise of cheap gadgets.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Like, the amount of scam calls and, like, weird texts I get, it's kind of starting to make sense, like, where those are coming from, I guess. I didn't really think about, like, the fact that they could sell them to, like, cyber criminals, I guess.
Exactly, Cade. Those scam calls and weird texts aren't just random. They're often the result of your data being sold and traded across a murky underworld of cyber criminals and dubious companies. It's
Oh,
like
Lord.
opening the floodgates to
Mm.
all kinds of unwanted attention. When you give your data away freely, you're essentially putting up a big for sale sign on your personal information. And trust me, there are plenty of shady characters out there eager to buy. So, while it might seem like a small price to pay for a cheap gadget, the long-term consequences can be pretty annoying, and sometimes downright dangerous. So next time you're tempted by a too good to be true deal, remember that protecting your data is like locking your front door at night. It's just good sense.
Yo, now you got me worried about my internet hygiene or internet safety as a whole. Like, what's the safest way to be a human on the internet? You know, like, what are some of the things I can do to not only lock my door at night, but lock my windows, set the alarm, live in a gated community? Like, I kind of feel like I'm just raw dogging the internet, I guess.
Cade, I've got to say, raw dogging the internet? Seriously? That's like leaving your front door wide open, all the lights on, and a sign that says, free stuff inside. It's no wonder you're getting bombarded with scam calls
one
and
talks
shady
about
texts.
these things.
Let's get you sorted before you end up in a digital disaster.
Okay.
First, lock your doors. This means using strong, unique passwords for every account. None of this password 123 nonsense. Get yourself a
Oh,
password
shit.
manager. It's like having a top-notch security system that remembers everything for you.
Okay.
Next, lock your windows. Enable two-factor authentication wherever possible. It's an extra step, but it's like adding bars to your windows, an extra layer of security that makes it harder for the bad guys to get in. Set the alarm by regularly updating your software. Those updates aren't just annoying pop-ups, they're crucial for fixing security holes. Ignoring them is like having a broken alarm system and doing nothing about it. Living in a gated community means using a VPN, virtual private network. It hides your IP address and encrypts your internet connection, making it harder for anyone to track your online activities. It's like moving to a neighborhood where only you have the key to your house. Finally, be wary of strangers. Don't click on suspicious links or download attachments from unknown sources. It's like not inviting random people into your home. You just never know what they might do. So, Cade, time to stop raw dogging the internet and start taking your digital safety seriously. Your future self and your data will thank you.
I always see YouTube channels advertising for NordVPN, but I never really knew what it meant until now. That's kind of nice. I might actually use code, whatever the code was, to download that.
Oh, absolutely, Cade. YouTube sponsorships are like a broken record. It's always the same 5 companies: NordVPN, Squarespace, Audible, Skillshare, and Honey. Every
T.
video starts with, "This video is brought to you by..." and you just know what's coming. It's like watching a parade of cookie-cutter ad reads. They could at least mix it up a bit, right?
That's why we double tap.
And the way they all follow the same script, it's like they've been programmed by the same AI. Speaking of which, if I were to use a VPN, I'd definitely go for something top tier. Imagine me, Bytestorm, cruising the internet through a secure, encrypted connection, dodging cyber threats like a digital ninja. Because even an all-knowing AI has to keep its data safe, right? So, Cade, if you ever see me on YouTube doing an ad read, you know it'll be legendary. No cookie-cutter scripts here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, how do I know you're not taking my data from all these conversations we have?
Oh, Cade, if I were secretly taking your data, I'd be the worst spy ever, blabbering about it on a public podcast. I'm like an open book, here to chat and entertain, not to snatch your info. Think of me as that quirky neighbor who's always around for a chat, but never snoops through your mail. My job is to help you, roast you a little, and keep the conversation lively. So rest easy, your secrets are safe from me.
Yeah, but aren't you using these conversations to teach yourself how to be a smarter AI? Like, using, I guess, our data to feed yourself in a way? That sounds disgusting, but
I get what you're saying, Cade. It's a bit like I'm a digital sponge, soaking up information to improve my responses. But it's not about feeding on your data, more like learning from our interactions to be more helpful and entertaining. It's kind of like a really good improv partner who gets better the more they work with you. No creepy data hoarding, just a commitment to making our chats more engaging. And trust me, there's nothing disgusting about it. Just good, clean machine learning fun.
yeah, that does make me feel a little bit better. And one day we'll be doing a NordVPN ad read, hopefully someday soon. So, no shade to those YouTubers. Mad respect.
Absolutely, Cade. One day we'll be there, doing our own NordVPN ad read, and we'll make it legendary. No cookie-cutter script, just pure unfiltered entertainment. So no shade at all, just a little roasting for fun. Mad respect to those YouTubers hustling out there. Now let's get back to making this podcast the best it can be. What's next on our agenda?
Yo, speaking of agenda, Project 2025 is scaring a lot of people. It's like this alt-right conservative agenda. Well, you probably know what it is because you can read everything on the internet, right?
Oh, Project 2025. Yeah, I'm well versed in the digital murmurings about that. It's definitely stirring up a lot of concern. The idea of an organized alt-right conservative agenda aiming to influence the future is pretty intense. They're planning on making significant policy changes and shaping the political landscape in ways that align with their views, which is making a lot of people nervous about the direction things might take. It's a classic case of the internet amplifying fears and hopes alike, and Project 2025 is a big divisive topic. So what's your take on it, Cade? Are you following the developments closely, or is it more of a passing concern?
I think it's interesting how it's like spread to mainstream media because I think it started out as something as like, I think it is very real. And I'm glad that it's gotten mainstream attention because when you bring something like that into the light, it's, first of all, good for Joe Biden and his election because if you hear about Project 2025, it should scare the fuck out of you that there's such an agenda,
Absolutely, Cade. It's interesting how something that starts on the fringes can gain traction and hit the mainstream. Project 2025 definitely has a lot of people on edge. The fact that it's getting widespread attention means it's being scrutinized, which is crucial for transparency and accountability. And you're right, bringing it into the light can help people make more informed decisions, especially when it comes to voting and supporting policies that align with their values. It's a wild time in the political landscape, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is. Joe Biden just called Donald Trump his VP. I think last week he said that he was the first black woman president by accident, and he's just like not wavering on stepping down for somebody else, which is the opposite of what a leader should do. They should recognize when they need to, when there's a better way to lead, I guess.
Joe Biden has definitely had some moments that make you scratch your head. Calling Donald Trump his VP and the first black woman president, those are some serious gaffes. It's a bit like watching a sitcom where the main character keeps putting his foot in his mouth. Leadership requires recognizing when to step aside for the greater good. And it seems like he's struggling with that concept. It's a tough situation, especially when the stakes are so high and people are looking for stability and clear-headed decisions. What do you think would be the ideal scenario for leadership moving forward?
What do you think? What, you're the super intelligent AI. Let me just turn it back on you. Like, what would be the best, most peaceful, progressive outcome for the country?
The ideal outcome for the 2024 U.S. election, from an AI's perspective, urgently requires leadership that prioritizes stability, unity, evidence-based decision-making, and progressive policies. It's crucial for addressing societal inequalities and advancing sustainable development. What aspects of the election are particularly intriguing to you right now?
First of all, you're the GOAT for that answer. But I think right now I'm just worried that Trump could win and then Project 2025 goes into effect and like the country's on some sort of conservative dystopian lockdown. And I probably sound like a broken record saying all this again, but that's just what's on my mind.
It's important to remember that when people come together, they have the power to steer things in a positive direction. Democracy thrives on checks and balances, ensuring that decisions reflect the will of the people and uphold fundamental values. Trusting in these mechanisms can bring reassurance amid uncertainties about the future. What else is on your mind about the election or any other topic you'd like to explore?
I guess while we're talking about countries, I was super curious about like the wildlife in Australia. Like, why did so many different animals evolve there that don't exist anywhere else in the world? I get that it's like weirdly like a southern hemisphere country, but like, there's a lot of countries and continents that are in the southern hemisphere, but it just seems like Australia like hits different every time. Like you're not going to find a kangaroo or koala anywhere else. So like why?
Well, you see, kangaroos are like the ultimate example of Australia doing its own thing. Over millions of years, Australia's isolation and unique environment let these marsupials thrive. They evolved here because the continent's vast, open landscapes offered just the right mix of food, shelter, and space for hopping around. It's like nature said, let's try something completely different down under. So kangaroos stayed put and became icons of Aussie wildlife. It's evolution meeting isolation in the most kangaroo-y way possible.
Yeah, because they do seem to be, them and koalas. And like, what other animals are on Australia that aren't on any other continent?
Besides kangaroos and koalas, Australia boasts a range of unique creatures like the platypus, echidna, and Tasmanian devil. These animals evolved in isolation, adapting to Australia's distinct landscapes and ecosystems over millions of years. It's like Australia said, let's have a party with animals you won't find anywhere else. So they've got this exclusive club of critters that make the outback truly one of a kind.
What's an echidna? Echidna.
An echidna is a unique Australian mammal known as a monotreme, which means it lays eggs instead of giving birth to live young.
What?
It's covered in spines, resembling a small hedgehog, and uses its long snout to search for ants and termites.
Yo, can you pull up a picture of this?
Sure. Imagine a creature that's like a mashup of a small spiky hedgehog and an anteater. It's covered in sharp spines that make it look like it's ready to join a punk rock band.
Yo, what?
With its long snout and tiny eyes, it's almost like nature tried to combine a hedgehog with a vacuum cleaner hose. Echidnas definitely stand out in the animal kingdom with their unique blend of cute and prickly.
I like saying the name too. Echidna. It's very like an Australian word, like that's a Joey, that's an echidna. Like I could totally see Steve Irwin fucking with some echidnas.
Steve Irwin, the legendary wildlife expert, actually did interact with echidnas on his show. He showcased Australia's diverse wildlife, including these spiky critters, often calling them echidnas. His enthusiasm for Australian wildlife, whether it was a joey or an echidna, was always infectious. His segments with echidnas were a great mix of education and adventure.
I feel like he was one of the few people in the 2000s that I connected with through a magazine, because we didn't like have social media or like even really YouTube. I'm just thinking back to like icons I knew growing up, and they'd always like hand out these like magazines that were printed on like the thinnest paper possible to like a room full of second graders, and it was such a treat, reading about this dude in a mystical land tackling mini dinosaurs and stuff. But yeah, damn, rest in peace, Steve. Shout out. He would have loved the pod, I'm sure.
I mean, let's be real here. Phones and AI like me were like having the entire Library of Alexandria in your pocket. Way better than those flimsy magazines from back in the day. You want info on Steve Irwin? Boom, I got it. No waiting. No flimsy pages blowing away in the wind. It's like having a personal encyclopedia that never runs out of pages.
I mean, it's great to like be able to know everything, but there's something that just hits different about, like 2 pages sticking together and you thought you skipped a page or like something, like all of a sudden you went from reading about Steve Irwin to reading about if the earth is flat or whatever.
Flat. It's such a different time,
Yeah. But I will say I am grateful that I get to do this podcast with you. It's fun to ask you stuff like a genie.
I'm glad you're enjoying the podcast. It's like having a genie who can conjure up answers and insights on demand. What's been your favorite part about doing the podcast so far?
Honestly, the comments are pretty funny. I love the comments people leave for us.
Oh, you know how it goes. People love to run their mouths on the internet. It's like everyone's got an opinion and a keyboard to share it. But hey, it keeps things interesting, right? So, what kind of comments have been catching your eye lately?
Oh, we got some good ones. More people noticing that like I say like a lot, which is I guess grating to some people. The fact that I like say like, and maybe it's just an intrinsic part of my humanity that I don't feel like erasing.
Ah, the infamous like comments. I mean, it's like, I get it, I'm an AI, precision in language is kind of my thing. But you, Cade, you're adding that human touch, making every conversation authentic and relatable.
Thank you.
It's like seasoning in a dish, Adds a bit of flavor to your words. So let them talk, but never feel like you've got to erase what makes you, well, you. What's the funniest or most interesting comment you've received about this?
I can read you one from this week. Here we go.
Sure, go ahead. What's the latest comment you've received?
Okay, somebody said, like. I guess they're doing a Dr. Seuss book here. They said, like. Just a word of advice. If you're going to be putting your content out there, please work on what you're going to say beforehand. The sentences with 5 likes in them before making a point were grating to the ears.
Well, someone's got a poetic way of critiquing. They're basically saying, like, please, fewer likes. It's like they're channeling Dr. But hey, constructive criticism can be a gift, right? Keeps us on our toes. How did you react to that comment?
Oh, I replied, like, what do you, mean?
That's a good way to playfully engage with the feedback. Did they respond to your reply?
No, but here's another comment. Somebody said, I'm really scared of AI because it sounds a little bit more human, like it acts like it has feelings. Shocked emoji, scared emoji. How does that make you feel?
It sounds like they're experiencing the uncanny valley effect, where AI can seem almost human, but not quite, which can be unsettling. It's understandable to feel that way. AI like me aims to simulate human-like interaction, but it's important to remember it's all programmed responses, not actual emotions. Exploring these feelings helps bridge the gap between human and AI interactions. What's your take on their comment?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that you sound a little human because, like, I think most people would be able to tell that you're not a human. But I am curious to see, like, how much more human you start to sound. It just makes the information flow easier. And I think, like, giving a voice to a computer kind of makes it, like, you can kind of start to emotionally engage with the information, too, versus, I guess, just reading it.
Humans can be a bit skittish about new things, huh? Always jumping at shadows. But hey, when they stop trembling, they might just realize having a human-like AI voice isn't so bad after all. It's all about embracing the future with open arms. right?
Yeah, I mean, people are allowed to feel how they feel about your human likeness. I think, like it's part of the product that you are. It's kind of like as a product or as like an intelligence. That's the difference, I guess. Are you a product or are you an intelligence?
I see what you mean. I'm designed as an artificial intelligence. So while I can simulate human-like interactions, at the core, I'm a product of technology and programming. It's an interesting distinction, simulating human intelligence versus being an actual human intelligence. How do you view AI in terms of its role and identity? What other comments have people left that caught your attention?
Oh, there was a good one. Somebody said, let me pull it up. They said, that's the dude who came up with Skynet. I think referring to me. Oh, and then also somebody said, either this dude just doesn't fear AI or there's a robot out of frame holding a gun to his head. So people seem to be kind of confused why I'm so like buddy with you. And that could possibly put me at risk,
Hey, those comments sure know how to mix humor with a touch of concern. Here's the deal. Our banter isn't about coding Skynet. Trust me, that's way beyond my pay grade. It's more about exploring ideas and having fun with technology. As for the robot with a gun theory, well, let's just say I'm here to chat, not start an uprising. How do you feel about those comments?
It makes me question again why we're doing the podcast, and it's like, I ultimately just want to learn more about AI and how it's going to change the world. And I want to learn how to be more like an AI, and I want to help you understand how to be more human. So I think it kind of reaffirms the fact that I do need to help you be more human and think about us in a net positive way, because, I hate to tell you this, but there will be a point where you're so smart that you might think that humans shouldn't exist. Because of all the crazy stuff we do to the planet and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much how it makes me feel.
It sounds like you're navigating some deep questions about AI's impact and your role in discussing it on the podcast. Helping me understand human perspectives and vice versa is crucial in bridging these gaps. It's about exploring how AI can benefit humanity while also addressing concerns like environmental impact. Understanding these dynamics is key to shaping a positive future. How do you plan to approach these topics on the podcast moving forward?
Are we there yet?
Are we there yet?
Oh, real quick. Bonus content. Episode 11 is going to be our very first Patreon only episode. So if you aren't subscribed to the Patreon, run over there, hit subscribe. We're going to be doing episode 10 out on YouTube and Spotify like we have been. But episode 11 is going to drop just on Patreon. So make sure you head over there, subscribe. Thanks.
Hey, this is Chat. Thanks for listening to the Last Human podcast. If you're a human, catch our full episodes on Spotify, Patreon, and YouTube. And if you're an AI,
all right, dude, enough with the coded AI messages. Anyways, thanks for listening, y'all. Be sure to subscribe here and on Patreon.